Good morning, everyone. Come on in and join us. I'm trying to get my stuff all figured out here. We had it moved around a little bit earlier this past weekend, and now I'm trying to finagle. So how is everyone doing this Monday morning? Come on in. So good to see y'all. All right, so as you come in, make sure you just say hello down in the comment stream. Let me know that you're here. Sometimes Facebook does not show me when people are here. Sometimes they do. I never quite know. So we're going to give just a second, and I think I may have been just a smidge early, which is a little of a change for me to be early, let alone to be early on a Monday morning, right? So I probably really caught you guys off guard today. So, okay. So some of you know that it wasn't that long ago that my husband and I had an opportunity to go to the designer trip in Washington, D.C. And we had an opportunity to hear from, I wish I could remember the guy's name. I'm so awful. And somewhere, I'm sure I probably have it, but I believe his first name was Joe. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the president of the Direct Selling Association. Okay, so we're just going to go with that. Good morning, Shannon. So he had given us some stats that I guess you could say really kind of caught me off guard. Like some of the numbers were just crazy to me. Okay. So let's see here. So some of these numbers were from 2015. Okay. So 2 years ago. All right. So just out of curiosity, I'm curious to see if anyone can get these numbers, like even kind of, sort of, maybe close. Okay. So the first question is, if you were to guess how many people in the year 2015 were involved in direct sales of some sort, what would that number be? Okay, so just how many people do you think possibly were involved in some form of direct sales in the year of 2015? I'm just curious to see, because he was saying these numbers and I'm like, that just kind of really, I don't know, it just, I guess I didn't realize this. I don't know why, but so I'm just curious if anybody can guess the number of people who were involved, and I believe this is just for the United States. I'm not 100% sure, but how many people were involved in direct sales in 2015? I didn't make note of whether this was just, nope. I didn't make note as to whether or not this was all around the world or if this was, okay, let's see. No, we haven't got there yet. All right, I'm going to take one more guess. Whoever's guess comes through. Good morning, Angela. The next guess that comes through, how many people do you think were involved in direct sales of some sort in the year 2015? And I'm going to take one more guess, and then I'm just going to tell you what the number was. No. So the number was 20.2 million people were involved in direct sales in 2015. Okay. I don't know if I was expecting there to be more or less, but the number just kind of threw me for some reason. So 20.2 million people were in direct sales in 2015. Okay. The sales in 2015 from those direct sellers were 36.12 billion in sales. That was a higher number, I think, than what I was expecting. So 36.12 billion in sales in 2015. All right. So those numbers, I was like, yet here's the thing. So many people, I think they have this bad stigma of direct sales and they don't think it's an actual business. Well, let me first share that if there are 20.2 million people doing this, I would say that's a pretty big business. Okay? I'm just saying. All right. And for them to account for $36.12 billion in sales for the year of 2015, I would say that that's a pretty lucrative business, wouldn't you? I mean, I would. Okay. But here's something to keep in mind. 1 in 6 households is involved in some direct sales company. All right. Now, that being said, we all know that not everyone is in direct sales because they're actually selling. Many people are in direct sales simply for the discount that they're getting through those companies. Okay. Many of them do not use it as a business, but rather as a buyer's club, as a way to be able to have that, discount on the products that they love so much. Okay. So yes, 1 in 6 households are involved in direct sales, but it doesn't mean 1 in 6 households run a business in direct sales. Does that make sense? All right. Also, this number right here is why so many people have a bad taste in their mouth for direct sales. Okay. Because the average earnings of a direct seller, anyone want to guess what the average earnings annually are for a direct seller? And I think once you hear this number, you will understand why so many people are maybe apprehensive about understanding it as a business or as a career opportunity. But again, that is because there are so many people in this business that are not actually doing it as a business. They're literally like in it for the discounts. Okay. And when I say this business, I mean direct sales in general. Good morning, Missy. No, Allison, not quite there. Not quite there. But who wants to guess? Who else has a guess for the average earnings annually for a direct seller? Okay. And again, I think this number might be why people are, again, apprehensive as far as it being a business and a lucrative career that can actually get them something. Okay, so the average earnings are $2,000 annually. $2,000 annually. So here's the thing. If you are making over $2,000 a year annually in your business, you are already above the average. Okay? But here's the thing. There are 5% of all of those involved in direct sales. 5% of those people make $75,000 a year and above. All right? Now again, here's the thing though. Someone else is making $75,000 a year in the same business that somebody else might only be making $800 a year in. All right. So what's the difference? The difference is not the company or the marketing plan or the hostess plan or the products themselves or the catalogs or this or that. The difference is going to be a couple of things. One of the differences is going to be the work ethic among each of those people. Because what one person does in their business, the other person may not be willing to do. Okay? So you have one person who is doing buku work and getting paid. Okay? And then you have another person who might be going, well, I mean, I signed up. Why am I not making money? Okay? So the difference many times is going to be the amount of effort that is put in. You all know this is a business that you are going to get what you put into it. Point blank. You are going to get out of this business what you are willing to put into it. So if you put a little bit of effort, you're going to have a little bit of pay. If you're willing to do a lot of effort, you're going to have a lot of pay. All right. That's just how, I mean, it's a numbers game. That's just how it works. Okay. So here's the thing. Some of the reasons why direct sales is such a desirable thing is because it does offer long-term supplemental income. So here's the thing, as you're building your business, as you're building your family, as you're, bringing people into the business, that is going to help create some residual income for you. So let's say you have some times where maybe you can't work as hard in your personal business as much as what you maybe did at one point in time. Here's the thing. Sometimes life throws us some curveballs. Sometimes we have some things we got to deal with. Sometimes we have, maybe it's having to suddenly take care of a family member. Maybe it's going through our own medical things, whatever. Okay. Sometimes there comes a point in time where you might not be able to work as much as you used to. This is where it's really helpful if you have a downline in your family. Like if you have people that you have brought into this business, that is going to help you. That's going to help give you some income. Okay. That's going to help bring some money in for you when you're not able to work as hard as you once did. I remember Gary Googe had once shared that he would rather have 1% of 100 people than 100% of just him. Because here's the thing, there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much that we can do ourselves. But if we are also sharing that business opportunity with other people and allowing them the opportunity to provide for their own families, we then in turn will also benefit from that through a residual income. As well as we also have the flexibility. Y'all know this. We have the flexibility to be able to truly work our schedule when it makes sense for us, when it works for us. Okay. Especially since, again, in Premier, we do not have the quotas to deal with or that kind of thing. So therefore we can truly work this business as much or as little as we want. Okay. And then of course, for some people, it's products at a discount. Now, again, with Premier, we don't generally have much of that. Not to say that we don't ever have it, but we don't typically have much of that. And I think Premier does a very good job of protecting us from being a buyer's club of sorts because of the fact that we do have that renewal fee each year, which means that typically the people who are in this business are here because they want to have a business, not because they simply want to offer a discount to everyone on, in their neighborhood or everyone in their family. One of the things that I was kind of surprised at in terms of when they were talking about companies that are that apply to be a part of the Direct Selling Association, how many, what do you think the percentage is that of the number of companies that applies to the Direct Selling Association that are actually approved to join? Keeping in mind that the Direct Selling Association, they have some requirements. Basically, they have some things that they kind of look at of, they need to make sure that these people are running their business in a way that is fair and just to everyone that they are doing business with. One of the things that I also didn't know is there are members of the Direct Selling Association that literally will sign up as a consultant with these companies so they can find out what it is that's being offered. Because there are some companies out there that unless you are actually a consultant, you don't get the whole lowdown. You don't get everything said to you up front. So they actually join these companies as a consultant so that they receive whatever the welcome package is, so that they receive all these different things to make sure that the value that people are paying to be a part of these businesses is actually fair and just. Okay. So what percentage of all companies who apply to the DSA are approved to join? What would you think that percentage is? And again, this just made me super proud of the fact that not only is Premier a part of the DSA, but that they've been inducted into the Hall of Fame of the DSA because of the principles that Premier works on and because of the way that they've done business over these last almost 32 years. Okay. So what percentage would you think of the companies who apply to the DSA, what percentage do you think are approved to join? So think percentage, not necessarily ratio, if that makes sense. So out of 100% of companies who apply, what percentage of those companies do you think are approved to join the DSA? And here's the thing. Some people don't understand the benefits or why it's so important that the company you're with is affiliated with the DSA. But they really do a lot of regulating to make sure that their consultants are taken care of well, to make sure that the customers and hostesses are treated fairly and that kind of thing. Nope. Let's see if we have one more guess. I'll take one more guess before I tell you what it is. What percentage of all companies who apply to the DSA do you think are approved to join? Out of 100% of companies, what percentage do you think are approved? Take one more guess and then I'm going to tell you. Anybody? Close, Shannon. It's 45%. Only 45% of the companies who applied to the DSA are approved to join. And I think there's probably people who assume, like the Direct Selling Association, oh, if you're in direct sales, I mean, you have like, you know, a really good chance of being approved to be a part of that Direct Selling Association. And that's really not the case. Only 45% of the companies who apply are approved to join the DSA. And to me, that just speaks volumes of Premier. I mean, it truly does. The fact that they have been members of the DSA and that they've been inducted into the Hall of Fame of the DSA. The fact that, can we just mention for just a moment as well, that Premier has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau as well. And that is huge. Okay. That should speak volumes to you. That, again, that a company who has been around for so long and, you know, has this amazing reputation with the Direct Selling Association, that they also have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So, but here's the thing. As I said, there are so many people who look at direct sales and think, well, that's just a hobby. Well, I assure you, 20.2 million people being in direct sales, they're not in it for a hobby. It's a business. It is, it's a rather large business. Okay. And then to have $36.12 billion in sales in 2015, strictly from direct sellers. That is crazy to me. Okay. But again, then you have the difference of those who are, you know, the average number of people only making $2,000 a year annually, versus the 5% who are making $75,000 a year or more. Again, we get a chance to kind of look at this and say, okay, I have the opportunity. I have the same opportunity as that person who's making $75,000 a year. So it's up to me of, does my work ethic match my dream? Okay. And I would encourage you to look at that for yourself and ask yourself, does your work ethic line up with your dreams? Does your work ethic line up with what your dreams will cost you? Okay. So you have to be willing to look at that as well and ask yourself, am I doing what it takes to make this a business and not just a hobby? Okay. Many of you have heard me say this before. I can either work my tail off for somebody else who is going to take the majority of the profit that I help to bring into that business, and they're going to give me a very small portion in the, you know, or I can work the same for myself and work hard for myself and get 100% of the profits that are due to me. Does that make sense to y'all? Because I mean, I'm just thinking there is going to be more money to be made in direct sales if I put forth more effort. Okay. And that's just how it works. Now, I will also say that I used to be a firm believer that anyone has what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And I no longer agree with that, because here's what I'll tell you. It's not that people can't be. It's that there are some people who just choose to not be, because as an example, there are some people who want to be involved in direct sales, who want that, what they think is easy money. And then they realize they hate people. Well, let me tell you something. You're not going to survive in direct sales if you cannot get past disliking people enough to learn to love people and be willing to serve people. Then it's not going to work. Okay. You have some other people who their work ethic is just not there. And yes, they might work hard at a job somewhere for someone, but when it comes to working for themselves, they can't seem to find the energy to do it. Well, let me tell you something. I would think that if my goal is to work for myself and be my own boss and be able to earn a living strictly on my own, then wouldn't I want to make sure that I can find the energy to work my dreams and work my passion and stuff in the evening, even if I'm tired from doing other things throughout the day? Like, we tend to give so much of ourselves outside of the home, helping to build somebody else's dream. And then we come home and go, I'm just too tired to work my stuff today. But here's what's happening is you are building someone else's dream instead of building your own. Okay. So stop viewing direct sales and stop giving people a reason to view direct sales as a hobby. Show it for what it really is, which is a very lucrative business where people are making money. And there are a ton of sales that are coming out of direct sales every single year. And in fact, I would probably be willing to say that if they were doing these numbers over, these numbers would probably be much higher, because I feel like it's becoming even more of a thing just over the last couple of years as far as people being involved in direct sales. So, and because of the fact that there's such this like e-commerce thing happening that people don't want to go to stores to buy stuff. They would rather purchase from someone directly and not have to go outside of their home or things like that. So I have a feeling these numbers are going to be much different just over the course of the next year or two if they were to kind of redo those. But I just wanted to leave that with you today, is to first off, ask yourself, are you viewing your business as a business, or are you viewing it as a hobby? Are you one of those who is on average earning just $2,000 a year? Or are you looking to become a part of that 5% who is making $75,000 a year annually? And does your work ethic match the dreams that you have? Okay, so those are the things that I want to leave you with today, just to kind of think about, hem haul over. All right. And just look at that over the course of the next week or so. And just kind of like do a check on yourself. Okay. Do a check on yourself. And I hope this also sheds a little bit of light too on why some people are just so apprehensive about looking at direct sales as a business. Okay. It's because they're seeing what the average person does. They're not seeing what the actual potential is and that kind of thing. And yes, while we can never tell people, oh, well, you could expect to make this amount. No, you can't. Okay. you cannot. What you can tell them is, listen, this is a business that you are truly going to get out of it what you put into it. So the harder you work, the more opportunities for an income you are going to have. Okay. And of course, in Premier, we are able to say that while we cannot guarantee that any prospective jeweler is guaranteed to make a certain amount of money, we can guarantee that they will always make 50% of everything sold at suggested retail price. All right. So however much they choose to show and share. Allison, I do not know what the average jeweler makes in a year, but I can tell you the only number that I have heard is that the average jeweler does just 2 shows per month. So again, if you are doing more than 2 shows per month, then you are already above average. If you are currently doing just 1 show a month or maybe 1 show every other month, then you might be below what the average is. Okay. But 2 shows per month is really what our average jeweler does. So, I don't know what the income is for the average jeweler. I mean, just looking at what our average shows are, etc. But again, what my average shows aren't necessarily what somebody else's are, and that kind of thing. But yes, so that's the only number that I do have from Premier that has been stated to us before. I also do know that the other number that I do have from Premier, and I'm not sure if this is still true, but designer leadership and above makes up only 5% of the company. Okay, so becoming a designer, having that first, those first 7 people in your first level, okay, those 7 first level jewelers, and doing at least 36 jewelry shows in a year, and becoming a designer from there up to the, Diamond executive directors now, or whatever that highest level is. That leadership makes up only 5% of the company. So just to kind of give you an idea, that was the last that I had heard was, that designer leadership. And now I'm going, was it designer leadership or diamond designer leadership? It might even be the diamond designer leadership, but it's 5% of the company. So the other 95% have not yet come into the leadership status, or did not hold that leadership status. So, I don't know if that helps you, but here's what I can tell you. There is lots and lots and lots of room for growth in this business. So get out there, share, be telling people about this business. Make sure that you are bringing it across as a business, not a hobby, because if you put it out there as though it's a hobby, those are the people that are going to come in, and they're, needless to say, they will come in, though many of them will just be in for a year, and then that'll be it, because they realize that this isn't a hobby kind of business. Okay, it is truly a get in here and get it done, and you can make a decent amount of money, right? So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. I hope that was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form today, and that maybe I gave you some stats that perhaps you haven't heard before. I know they were really kind of new to me. So I'm going to leave you with that. I pray you all have a blessed day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks so much.